Men start manipulating women as soon as they are born, okay? Like, as soon as they're born. And the manipulation is to seek their approval, and it starts with their mothers, okay? So while mothers kind of look at daughters and project their mistakes and where they messed up in their dreams and their goals, they cannot do this with a son, right? So the son has a different experience than the daughter, especially in a single mother household, because there cannot be two mothers in a house, but the daughter, the eldest daughter, is being treated as a second mother, versus the son, if he is one of the older siblings, he's more so being treated as the man of the house. And also the mother will continuously seek her son's approval for the lack of approval she did not get from the absent father. So they're raising their daughters to have compassion and empathy and to care about other people, but they raise sons to be selfish and to care about winning. Boys are raised to win. Girls are made to make everything fair and equal, and to point out what's not right. It's never about just win and be great and be number one, but that's how boys are raised. So boys, they have to conquer and win and have violence and show and exhibit this strength and this warrior energy in order for them to be an acceptable part of society. Okay, y'all know that experiment where they have all the kids, right? And it's all girls with no parents and all boys with no parents. And the kids is like probably 8 to 10. And in the girls' house, they came up with a routine. They took turns cooking. They took turns cleaning. They would have talks. They cried and comforted each other. They made sure everybody felt included. They had sleeping areas. They had everything together. In the boys' house, they immediately separated themselves into groups of who they thought was the coolest or the strongest or the roughest or the baddest. And they immediately began to bully, destroy the house. And the boys who wanted to clean up or who knew how to cook, they were either made into like slaves and they had to cook for everybody, and if they didn't, then the boys would fight over it and try to bully them into cooking. It turned into a fight. Or they were all just starving, dirty, living in filth, not thinking about the consequences of tomorrow, because they are boys and they were raised to see who can win, who can be the baddest. Even if being the baddest or the toughest in this environment with my peers means that we're sacrificing our living environment, our safety, our situation. Like, they were playing with the food, smearing the food on walls. Where would they get more food from? They didn't care, because in that moment, it was about establishing dominance. Who's going to be the winner? Who's going to be the leader? Who's going to control? And then everybody else works for the leader of the group. And it will be for them to figure out how we eat. Even though I have destroyed all the crops and everything, we go to war first and then worry about how we're going to feed the kids at home later. While women will say, we're not going to start no war because the kids are going to starve if we start a war. Men don't think like that. So even in childhood, little boys begin to manipulate their mothers, while little girls are only rewarded for when they show compassion. They're taught to share. They're taught, just let her hold it. Why let him hold it? You see him crying, give it to him, stop. Like, while boys are taught, oh, you're just going to let him take your toy? You need to win. You need to go get your toy back. You don't let nobody bully you. What are you, a little punk? Girls are rewarded for like, oh, if you help your mom wash dishes, oh, you're so good. You so good for that. Like, but not the same for boys. So our mothers begin to teach us to seek validation immediately. And we seek that validation by wanting to be a good helper, by wanting to alleviate the stress of our mother when she gets off work, by cleaning up after our siblings or feeding them or cooking dinner, by not arguing back or being as aggressive as her son, by being her peace and her calm. We are already taught to seek validation from her because she's projecting her dreams and her mistakes onto us. So if your mama was a thought, she's projecting that onto you, and she wants you to be very conservative and stay in the house and not talk to boys, right? Because she felt like she got pregnant young and it ruined her life. Versus if she had a son, she wouldn't project that onto him. He would have the freedom to go out and mistreat. She would not even teach her son the same behaviors, you know what I'm saying? Or the same precautions, because she don't feel as if her son could be a victim to that. The mother seeks validation from her son. It's not the other way around. The single mother seeks the validation from her son that she is not getting from the absent father. So your son will not wash the dishes unless he's going to get a new Xbox game, some Roblox, new Jordans, right? But your daughter has to wash the dishes, or else she's going to get a lecture. She's going to get cussed out. You're nasty. You just dirty. I don't know who taught you. You don't never want to help me. It's the way that they treat them. The daughter needs validation. The son is validating his mother by his favors, not the other way around. It's expected of the daughter. So that's when boys begin to weaponize their incompetence. Mom, OMG, mom, you make the best spaghetti. I just don't know how to cook. Can you just cook it for me, mom? Can you just cook it? You know, I don't know how to cook. Versus if your daughter say, mom, you make the best spaghetti, you're going to say, well, you got to learn how to cook eventually. Come on, I'm going to show you how to make it. Come get the recipe. You're not going to let your daughter be incompetent, but you will let your son get away with it because he validates you when he makes it seem as if you are the only woman in his life who can make him this spaghetti. Your daughter has to go out and make spaghetti to receive that same validation from men, which is what she's learning from you and how you service your sons and the men around her. So you would project onto your daughter and you would say, well, I used to cook for my whole family when I was your age. When I was 12, I used to be able to make this pot of spaghetti for everybody. It's crazy that you waited till I got off work to have some spaghetti. You couldn't figure out how to make this spaghetti for you and your brothers? They would project what they went through onto their daughter. So then in adulthood, men only have to seek the validation of other men. They only need the approval of other men, right? And women also need this approval. They need it from women and men. But men do not need validation or approval for women. It doesn't get them anywhere. Women can help them get validation and approval from other men if they date a particular woman, or they could impregnate a particular woman. Then other men may say, okay, well, he do pull bad women. Okay, he do get money if he could afford her, etc., etc. It validates the men around him. Well, validates him to the men around him. So boys have this expectation of their mother, and if the mother fails to meet those expectations, then they could just replace her with another woman that they could also sleep with. While girls are once again seeking approval, and they will be told things like, smile more. If you don't know how to cook, how you gonna get a husband? If you don't do this, how you gonna get a man? And boys learn early on how to get things out of women because they need that validation. And so early on, they'll say things like, you so smart. You so smart, babe. Can you just do my essay for me? Like, you're so good at this, babe. Do you think you could cook that for me again? They learn early on that flattery can get them far. This is where it comes to men degrading and negging and saying negative things about you so that you prove that it's wrong. Because you seek validation. This is the easiest way that y'all wonder why women are in relationships with bad men. Because if he says that you're ugly, you're a hoe, or he don't like certain stuff, you will stay with him to prove that you aren't those things, right? You need that validation. Because if he said he doesn't like that and he's with you, that means that you aren't those things. He say he don't like natural hair and makeup, so you think that it's your flex, but in reality, he's outside looking at the girls with weave and full faces, and he's just manipulated you into thinking that when he does this, he's doing it out of disgust, when it's really just his way of making sure that you're constantly seeking validation, and comparing yourself while also keeping you down. And then when a girl inboxes you and she says, oh, your man been inboxing me, because you seek that validation from him and you've tricked your psyche so badly, you'll be like, oh, you're not even my man type. He would never touch you. You now are lying for him just to validate yourself and to stay in your area of delusion. Anyways, the daughter wants so badly to keep the man that may have been absent in her home that she'll do anything. And the son wants so badly to be the man, and the only way to be the man is to impress other men. So if that means that he has to trap you, get you pregnant, slow you down in any way, and stop your dreams, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If that means that he's broke, but he's lying, and you give him your card at the restaurant to pay, it doesn't matter. Because the perception and what's being seen by other men is that he got you on lock, and that somehow he has manipulated this woman, this girl, whatever, to do what he wants and to stay with him and to create this image for him that he's the man, he's the alpha, he takes care of this. It's all an illusion. To be publicly embarrassed is to let people know that I have full control over this woman. I am the man. So no matter what she says, my dealer, I ain't got no money, I'm poor, it doesn't matter because she's with me. And if any of that was true, the validation, right? If that was true, she wouldn't be with me. And same thing he said about you. you a ugly, dusty whore and you don't like dark-skinned girls. But since he with you, that can't be true. Everybody want validation, but it's about from who.